Welcome back to the Loveland Report and the Lone Ranger Show. You got Bruce Woodburn, Cross Country Mortgage. Cleve is out and about selling some property, which is what he should do. So I'm going to take over the rest of the show here for the next 15 minutes. We got a few things to cover. Who is buying in this market? First-time home buyers are coming back, but not fast enough. So I want to set the stage on why and what that looks like. And is it the right time for them to hold off? So let's just say that we have 10 people that want to buy right now in today's market, but only 2 of them are prepared or ready to jump in. Only 2 of them are willing to buy in this market. So the other 8 are sitting on the sidelines. So the 2 that jump in. Now, what advantage do they have? Sellers right now have an abundance of inventory. So they have a lot more competition. So they've got to get right with their price. So they are looking for buyers. So these 2 buyers come in, but only 2, not 8, not 10, only 2. So these 2 buyers, do they have more control since there's not as many people looking at that seller's house? You better believe it. Can they negotiate price? Yes. Can they negotiate closing costs? Yes. Can they negotiate repairs? Yes. Can they negotiate buy downs? Very possibly. So sellers are willing to work. Now let's change this scenario. We wait. We wait for rates to hit 6.25, 6%, 5.5. You name the interest rate. Now, those same 10 buyers now say, we're all jumping in, all 10 of us. So now the seller goes, oh my gosh, we put the house on the market yesterday. I've had 10 people look at my house already. And then the first offer comes along and says, hey, we'd like to offer you the $400,000 for your house that you want $425,000 for, and we need $20,000 in closing costs. And the seller goes, I don't think so. And so the next buyer that is looking, they say the same thing. They say, I'll give you $425,000 and I want $20,000 in closing. I said, I don't know, man. I don't think so. I got 10 people looking at the house right now. And then the next buyer says, hey, I'm putting 25% down and I got an 800 credit score and I don't need your closing costs, but I'm only going to give you $380 for the house. Seller says, I'll tell you what, I'll settle at $390. We got a deal. Now, why was that the right thing for the first-time home buyer to do? It wasn't. They don't have a shot at it. There's no shot. They have no opportunity. Who's going to get it? I'm going to get it because I'm an investor and I can put 20, 25% down. A buyer that's going to buy it and own or occupy it, that's selling another house that has 20, 30, 40, 50% to put down, they're going to get it. Even the buyer that's putting 10 or 20% down, they may have a crack at it. But the first-time home buyer, you got no shot. You got no shot. Why? Because the seller can choose somebody else. They don't have to choose your FHA loan or your 5% down conventional loan. They don't have to pay any closing costs because they got 10 people instead of 2 looking at it. So you want to push yourself out of the market, then wait. You want to get closing costs paid, work a deal maybe on price, work a deal on repairs. Now is the perfect time. Now sellers are willing to work. But you know what? Buyers don't get that. They don't understand so much. They really don't. And I try so hard, and my listeners call me up and they go, Bruce, I wish these people that I know would listen to you, but they just aren't listening. What can I do to help? Maybe I can help. Well, tell your friends that now is the premium time for them to buy. Don't wait. Marry the house, date the rate. You can always refinance later. Bruce Woodburn, Cross Country Mortgage. I am the loan arranger. I lend in all 50 states. You don't have to go anywhere else. I've got every loan program you need. Conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, conventional 3% down, investor, DSCR programs, so you don't have to verify your income. Bank statement programs for you self-employed people that are writing everything off. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well. But before we get into that, I just need you first-time home buyers or anybody that's got a low down payment. Maybe you're like Andrew that I closed a loan for 4 years ago. He called me up this week and said, Bruce, you may not remember me, but my name is Andrew, blah, 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 blah. And I went, of course I remember you. I remember you well. And we looked at it and he goes, you know what? I'm going to get married. I found a beautiful girl and I ended up getting on a Zoom call with both of them, just a charming couple. And he goes, I hate to sell this house because I would love to keep it because I only, you, Bruce, you got me a 3% interest rate. So I'd love to keep it as a rental property and it's got really good positive cash flow. So I said, let's see if we can make that work. You know what? We're going to make it work. I connected them with a great real estate agent on Cleve's team. They're going to buy a home. They're getting closing costs paid. And guess what? He gets to keep that rental property and start building up his portfolio of real estate. It's absolutely incredible. Then I had this other client, listen to this one here. Got this other client that I did their mortgage about 4 years ago. And he called me up. He goes, hey, Bruce, can you do a mortgage for Stanley Martin Homes? And I said, I can do a mortgage for anybody. It makes no difference who the builder is. Stanley Martin will only pay the closing cost if I use their mortgage company. I said, if that's what they're going to do, then maybe that's what you're going to have to do. Then he goes, I know, but they won't approve me by keeping my current residence. I said, well, let's see. Do you not qualify? They said, no, I don't qualify. I don't qualify with keeping the current one I have. And he was another client that I got a 3% interest rate. Actually, I think it's 2.7% rate. So he's like, God, Bruce, I hate to cut that property loose. So I looked at it and I went, I can 100% make that work for you. But you're not going to get your closing costs paid by Stanley Martin Homes because they won't let you use me. So guess what? I sent them over to Trinity Family Builders right down the street from where they were looking at that community. They found a bigger home, a better home, and Trinity Family Builders is paying $35,000, not 18, toward their closing costs. And they get to use my services. Now, if that's not a win, I don't know what is. But here's a client that this builder literally lost because they would not let a lender look at that transaction and pay the closing costs. If the client used them, they gave up the whole deal. And I see that happen with all kinds of builders. I see it happen with all kinds of buyers. So if you are truly interested in getting a solid approval and knowing all your options, why are you going to these yahoos? I'm telling you, that's what they are. Listen, I'm looking for good loan officers right now. If you're a great loan officer, I got a great business. I got everything you possibly need in-house right here. However, I am not looking for people that just say, well, do you give you leads? Like, I'm looking for quality loan officers. But here's the thing. I got loan officers applying for jobs with me all the time. I would not hire them. Why? Because they're terrible. They don't know how to structure a loan. My team of assistants that are licensed know how to structure loans 10 times better than 99% of the loan officers that I meet out there. They just don't know how to do it. And I'm telling you, I get clients all the time. I had a client that was relocated by Chase Bank. She works for Chase, relocated from New York to Orlando, fully approved for her loan. Realtor calls me up, says, Bruce, we got a problem. My client got denied by Chase 3 days prior to closing. I went, let me take a look at it, only to find out that she actually works for the company. They denied her loan 3 days prior to closing, and they were the ones that relocated her to Florida. I looked at the loan. I said, this is easy to fix. We'll do this and this. I closed her in 2 weeks. There you go, folks. Listen, you can keep screwing around and hanging out with the chickens or the turkeys, or you can come sail with the eagles. You want me? You got me. 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com. My name is Bruce Woodburn. I'm the loan arranger. I arrange loans. That's what I do. I don't play with them. I don't screw around with them. I don't test them. I arrange them and I close them. You want to close? I got an average 28-day close period. Come on. You want first-time home buyer, you want a move-up buyer, you want a jumbo, you want a doctor physician loan with no money down, you want construction, you want to build your own home, you want to renovate your own home, you want to refi a home, you want to cash out refi, you want to buy investment property, you're self-employed, you drive a big fancy pickup truck, you got money in the bank and you got good credit, you just don't show the income on your tax returns. I got you covered. Leave your doggone tax returns at home. I got a bank statement program that beats all, done in-house. You want to buy investment properties? Super popular right now. My DSCRs are the best of the best. Investors, not primary, not secondary. Investment properties, 20 to 30% down. The only income I need is the income that property produces in rent. I don't need anything else. I need your bank statements. I need the income from the property. Why would you go anywhere else? I've got you covered right here. Realtors listening to this. I help realtors all over the country. Call the Loan Arranger at 407-250-9144. That's 407-250-9144. Go to WeBringYouHome.com and get your application started. Now, we take applications in person, We take them over the phone. We do them on Zoom meetings. I will compare my rates with anybody else's rates. We will literally pull it up on the interweb and we can shop it together. What do you think about that? We'll shop it together. That's what we do around here. Now, what do you think about the Fed cutting the Fed rate? Well, we already know that's not happening this month. It's not happening next month. It's not happening, but it will happen more than likely in September at the next Fed meeting. Now, what do you think it's going to be? Quarter point, half a point? I've heard one person thinks it's going to be a full point. It ain't going to happen, folks. It would be crazy for them to drop rates by a full point, because it would get better and then it's going to get worse. That's not the right way to do it. They got to take it in little steps. Now, maybe a half a point and then a couple of quarter point cuts would be right, but not one shot all in one at one time. That's not going to help anything. So let's let it dribble down, maybe even a quarter point 4 times. That might help quite a bit. So what is he going to do? He's getting so much pressure. Getting pressure from Trump, getting pressure from the European central banks, getting pressure from his own people on the board of directors at the Fed. So Jerome Powell's probably on his way out. And I know they want to fire him, but I don't know. Does he deserve to get fired? Maybe he does. Trump seems to think he's pretty doggone incompetent. He's not an economist. So what are we going to do here? We are going to find a way to get this done. So if you have questions for the Loan Arranger and you want to get your loan approved, you want me to connect you with Cleve at any time, you let me know. He can be reached at 407-352-8118. You got the Loan Arranger right here on the Loveland Report and the Loan Arranger Show. I can be reached at 407-250-9144 or go to WeBringYouHome.com and get your application started. Now, listen, it's going to be a long, hot rest of the summer. And you might think that solar panels are the right thing to do. I'm going to tell you that solar panels are the worst thing that you can do financially. Don't do them. Don't do them. They're going to put a lien on your property. You're going to have to remove them to get your roof on. You're going to need a roof every 15 years. Your insurance companies don't like them. Some of them won't subordinate, so you won't be able to refinance. And then when you go to sell your home, if your new buyer cannot assume that loan, you are in a world of trouble. Call me. I will talk to you about it. 407-250-9144 or WeBringYouHome.com. And Cleve Loveland can be reached at 407-352-8118. I want to thank you for joining the Loveland Report and the Loan Arranger Show. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow on WDBO 580 AM at 11 o'clock. And remember, the Loan Arranger is the sponsor of the K92.3 All-Star Jam. 407-250-9144 or WeBringYouHome.com. Have a great weekend.